What's up, everyone? Welcome to Clarifying Christianity. This is a video series I'm going to make called Let's Clarify, where I take a concept, a confusion, or a question you guys have about Christianity, and I clear it up. So, let's clarify. Today's topic is the Bible is unreliable. There are a lot of people who say the Bible is unreliable because we have a bunch of variations in our manuscripts, we have no original manuscripts, and we have a bunch of contradictions in our Bible. So let's pick that apart one piece at a time. In terms of the variations, it is true we have 400,000 variations in our biblical text. That does depend on how you count variations, but we'll go with the most liberal number because what that statistic doesn't tell you is that virtually none of those variations are significant at all to Christian dogma or doctrine. Most of them are spelling mistakes, spelling differences, the difference in syntax, the use of a definite article, so the Lord versus Lord, or the use of a synonym like master versus Lord. The ones that are significant are scribal errors or interpolations that are later added and understood to be interpolations. None of them affect Christian practice. You can read the entire Bible with these variations of manuscripts and you're still a Christian. There's no problem. So the variations of the Bible aren't a problem. We can trust it there. What about the original manuscript claim? We don't have the original manuscript of the Bible, which is fine because you don't have to have the originals to have copies which are faithful to the original text, which, newsflash, we do have that. We use the historical method to figure this out. One of the ways we try to test the authenticity of the preservation of manuscripts is by the amount of copies that are present and the variations among those, which again, we already talked about. The variations aren't a problem. If you just take the Greek New Testament alone, which is what the New Testament was written in originally, we have over 6,000 manuscripts, either whole books or partial fragments of the Greek New Testament, which is a pretty decent amount. But if you include translations, Coptic, Syriac, and later Latin, that number skyrockets to over 25,000. To put that into perspective, we all studied Plato in school. We have about 300 surviving manuscripts of his, and those are copies as well. And we still study him and take that to be authentic. The most complete of his works that we have, that is a compilation, comes 1,200 years after he died. If you compare that to Jesus, some of the New Testament internally dates within 40 to 60 years of his life, and the most complete collection that we have of his works comes 300 years after him in the Codex Sinaiticus version of the Bible that we have. But we have manuscripts that date to earlier. So the original manuscript claim is not a problem. We can trust our Bible there. What about the contradictions? This is a fun one I can't wait to deal with. I hope that you guys can engage with me on this. If you found contradictions and you want me to try to help you with them, I would love to do that. But I haven't found any contradictions that are theologically substantial or that don't have answer. What I have found is that these contradictions usually fall into one of two categories. One is a forced contradiction. This is where you don't read a text with charity. You're trying to find problems. You're not letting the text speak for itself. A great example of this is Judas's death. In the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they all write that Judas hung himself after betraying Jesus. In the book of Acts, it is written that his body falls and bursts open in the middle. He falls headlong. This is only a problem if you read both of those accounts to mean that this is how he died. But it's very clear the Synoptics are talking about how he died. What method did he kill himself by? He hung himself. And Acts is telling what happened to his body afterwards. The second area of contradiction category that we can talk about is a genuine scribal mistake. A great example of this is King Ahaziah's age. In 2 Kings and 2 Chronicles, we have two differing ages for his reignship when he starts to be king. One is 22, the other is 42. We do have old manuscripts that are in 2 Kings and 2 Chronicles that do line up, and so it's not actually a contradiction, it's just a later scribal error that a lot of people just don't know about. The numbers 42 and 22 in Hebrew look a little similar, and so a simple smudge could make it so that a copyist, after he makes another copy or somebody else gets his copy, writes down the wrong number. However, again, I want you guys to think about this. It's been corrected. We have older manuscripts that agree, and we know where the problems arise. That's the amount of evidence we have that the Bible we have is preserved and good. We even know where the mistakes were in copyist errors, and we can rectify them. Well, there you have it. The Bible's reliable. We can trust it. I know we haven't quite solved everything yet, but I look forward to diving into more of these issues and clarifying some things for you guys. So stay tuned.